Alrighty. How's it going? Is everything working? Hopefully everything is working. It should be. In theory. Ignore that little line that's showing up there. I'm just checking something here. Alright. Very cool. Okay, I think we're good. Bryant is here. How's it going, Bryant? You doing well? Sorry, I'm just fixing all my stuffs. I need to make sure that this chat is working. Oh, it's not. What did I do? I broke it. No. Okay, let me fix that. Let me see. There it is. Okay, let's bring that to there. All right, we're good. We're good. Okay, we've got 4 likes already. Wow. That's so nice of you guys. We haven't even started yet. You don't even know what I'm going to say, and you already have liked the messages and stuff, or like the what's this called? Post. Oh, hang on, I got a line in the screen. I'm a disaster at this. Okay, there we go. How is everybody? How are we doing? So funny little thought here before we sort of get into it. I'm wondering to see how this goes, because we're going to be talking about something that's kind of like a little bit of a hot topic in the drama, good Lord, a little bit of a hot topic in the camera community, right? You know, people are a little bit dramatic around these sorts of topics, talking about sponsorships and talking about free gear and talking about what's right and wrong. So I'll mention this again here in a little bit, but one of the things that we're going to be doing today is I'm actually going to ask for your guys' help on writing up a draft of a like a document that I'm going to then send to brands or companies that reach out to me, sort of outlining here are my boundaries, here are the lines, here's my sort of codes of conduct, my lines of ethics around receiving free gear, compensation, all that kind of stuff. So you can then fill me in a little bit on what that might what that might look like for you guys, what do you think is reasonable, and then I'll sort of format it and start using it. I might even just leave it in the channel. I might leave it as a downloadable document so that you guys can actually have access to it at any time. And then you can see, here are my ethics. Here's where I stand on things. And you can let me know what you think. But yes. All right. Brian's doing well. Fantastic. I've been loving your recent vids and I'm working on my own YouTube studio. Oh, nice. Dude, everybody says all the time, like, you don't need a studio. And that is so true. You don't need a YouTube setup. You just need to go outside and have a lens. You know, that's all you need. But I love a nice YouTube studio setup. Like, I love this. This is the other corner of my studio. Normally I film into the corner that's behind the camera over here, but this is the other corner. And I really like the way that it looks. It's just fun. It's a fun thing to do. And yeah, use your bedroom. You may as well. PT Meza. I don't even know how I would pronounce that, but love your videos. Always informative. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's really funny. I often look back at some of my videos and I think that's not informative at all. You know, I try to find that line of, like, you know, fun, entertaining, a little bit sort of lighthearted and easy, chill kind of vibes. It's kind of what I've always gone for. But sometimes I feel like I miss a whole bunch of stuff that I should probably be including in my videos. But it's always hard to cover everything, you know. It's hard to know exactly what everybody needs to hear about every single product that you're talking about. So, like, recently I've been doing these, you know, camera gear under $50 series. And I have to say, like, reviewing gear is hard because you're like trying to cover everything that there is to cover about a piece of equipment. And you're trying to give each piece of equipment no more than like 3 minutes at a time, you know, try and get through the video. But yeah, real quick, audio sound okay? How is everything sounding? I actually don't know. I can check it on my phone here, but I'm doing something a little different this time. I actually have my Shure SM7B running into my FX30, which is then going straight into my computer. So I'm using a FET head, which gives it a bit more boost, but the preamps in the FX30 aren't amazing, but I'm kind of hoping that this still works. So we'll see. Audio's good. Nice. Thank you, guys. What does that little thing mean? Why do you have a little crown beside your head? Does that come up here? It doesn't come up here. What does that mean? On my end, it says, top fan. Well, that's fun. Look at you. Top fan somehow. Cool. Awesome. Very good. Well, yes. So here in a little bit, we'll also do some like just random camera Q&A stuff. But I will be going over this here in just a second. So we're gonna put this together today. You can give me your thoughts. I'm gonna start like putting down some of my thoughts on this. But partnership guidelines, ethics, and kind of my expectations with brands and companies around non-sponsored content and around sponsored content. So we'll get to that in a little bit. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but yeah. Nigel, absolutely love your work, man. They've helped me in my creative process here in Africa. Oh, very cool. Oh, you're from Zimbabwe. I have friends who are just in Zimbabwe. Like they got back 2 days ago. That's awesome. Very cool. What's the camera market out there like? That's one thing I've always found interesting is like in other parts of the world, camera prices and stuff is very different. So like, you know, here in the States, people would say like, you know, I don't know, Sony A1 is really expensive, but it's like $9,000. Whereas maybe in Africa or like where I am often back home in Ireland, you know, it's like, it's relatively similar, but things are more expensive. And then you can't get certain pieces of equipment like V-mounts, they won't ship to your house and all that kind of stuff. It's really weird. So I'd love to know what the camera market's like out in Africa. Hey, Kofi's here. How's it going? Very cool. You doing well? You might know a bit more about the camera market in Africa as well, out in Ghana. I'm not going to pretend like I remembered any of the Ghana that you teach in your videos, nor try to pronounce them, but yeah, it's I haven't been to Africa yet. I really want to try going and see what it's like. I knew. See. I put a title like sponsorships and getting free gear, and Kofi hops in. I knew you'd hop in. I knew you'd be here for one of those sorts of conversations. That's where you get Kofi sort of riled up a bit more. Maybe not quite as much as Terry. I think if you wanna get Terry going, you just mentioned some of that stuff. I've never chatted with Terry, but yeah. Cool. So yeah, Kofi, you can maybe fill us in a little bit on this stuff as well. But one of the things I'm going to be doing today is I put this into the Discord that we're in. But like the way that camera brands have been communicating with me recently around like what their expectations are, contracts, all that kind of stuff, around getting free gear or around like reviews versus sponsorships, all that kind of stuff has kind of been changing a little bit more recently. So I am planning on putting together like a document, like just a PDF that sort of says that I can then send to each brand and say, here is how I operate when it comes to sending me free gear. And here's how I operate if you're wanting to sponsor a video. And these are my sort of boundaries. Because like, it felt like even just 6 months ago, it was like, oh, you want a piece of gear? Like, do you want to test this out? And I'd be like, yep. And then they just send it. And now it's like, I got a message from a company the other day, which I'll not name, but they were going to send me a piece of equipment. And it's a cool piece of equipment. Like, I'd like to give it a go. But they wanted 2 dedicated videos on it. Like, not sponsored or anything, but they wanted to guarantee 2 videos. Like, full-length videos. And I was like, no. Well, I'm not going to guarantee that or get into a contract unless it's sponsored. Then we can talk about it. But they were like, no, not sponsored, but we'll just send you the product. I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't know, but there's been a lot more of that, of people like, yeah, it's just product exchange. This is just how we do things. And it's like, didn't used to be. I haven't signed a contract. Like, I think I've signed a contract for like 2 pieces of product or a piece of equipment, but they were quite expensive. So that made a bit more sense. But anyway, we'll get into that in a second. Oh, my pronunciation is awful with my Canadian accent. See, we don't know that though. So like, because I could say words in Irish. I don't speak any Irish. I know like 10 words. But like, yeah, we don't know. Just say it confidently and we'll believe everything you're saying. I'm just here for the vibes. Well, I appreciate that. I need to go up to Canada. I've never been up to Canada. I don't know if I should leave the States right now. I'm in like green card limbo, so I need to like be careful when I leave the country or they won't let me back in. They're a little up in the air right now here in the States about immigration. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's a hot topic right now. Brian, Uncle Kofi on top, for sure. Those are the brands that you tell to kick rocks. Yeah, they're kind of bigger brands though. Like, I know that sounds bad, but it's like, I don't want to completely burn bridges, but I also am not going to, think they've done this about 3 times, this same brand. No, they've also sent other stuff and just sent it. It seems to like depend who you talk to at the brand, which is really bizarre. You would think that it's just like a set type of thing. I'd stay comfortably at home. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Just don't tell ICE anything and I'll be fine. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So for people who don't know, like whenever you are in the YouTube space, it actually happens really fast. The companies start sending you stuff, and not even like cheap stuff. Like sometimes, I think I was like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 subscribers in when I got sent a set of cinema lenses that were worth about $1,200, and they just sent them. Like they just emailed and said, "Do you want to test these out?" And I was like, "Yep." And then they said, "Here, send me your shipping address," and they sent them. And never heard from them again. They never even followed up to see if I even posted the video, which I did, and I love those lenses. They're like some of my favorites. But it's interesting. So like really early on in your YouTube career, people just start sending you stuff. I think I ghost about 3 companies every day that are just like, I get someone's like, "Do you want to try out these like sports joggers?" And I'm like, "No, I talk about cameras." So yeah, people send stuff frequently. You could easily get lost just saying yes to everything. But I've been having a hard time getting any sponsorships that I'm happy signing for. I'm still a small channel. So that, you know, that's probably part of that. You know, I'm not one of the big dogs, but so they're less likely to throw large amounts of money at me or anything like that, which is understandable, and I'm not too concerned. I've done 2 or 3 sponsored videos, and honestly, it's just stressful. It's like, I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want to have deadlines and all that kind of stuff. So, so if I'm going to go through the stress of following through with brands, hitting deadlines, putting other bits of life on pause to be able to do everything that they need, then I need to get paid. That's kind of my approach, but we'll talk about that again in a second. Here, gear is slightly more expensive, sometimes double the pricing. Wow. And rarely there are any brand sponsorships as well, unless it is in South Africa. Okay, interesting. Ah, so you can just order it from the States or directly from China and get it over there. That's an interesting way of doing it. Yeah. Gosh, I didn't realize it'd be quite double. Yeah. I saw, was it Jason Morris? Jason Morris was talking about like the FX2 in Australia was at like 6,000 or 5,500 Australian dollars, whereas it should be like 3,000 or something like that. Or maybe I don't know the conversions or anything, but the conversion was like ridiculous. It's really bizarre. So that's always kind of a weird one. Money's just a weird thing to talk about in general. You know, I don't know. Everything's kind of relative. It's like, you know, you could get paid $500 to do a sponsored video, and to some people they're like, just $500. Like, that's crazy. Like, I was talking with my buddy Matthew Dangy. He's the Lumix guy. Bro will do anything to get anybody to switch to Lumix. It's really hilarious. We were walking around NAV together, and everybody who was bumping into was like, you should go Lumix. But he's great. So we were hanging out and chatting a lot. But he lives out in California, and I'm in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. And like, the down payment that he put on his house would buy my house. You know, it's just like the economy is completely different, and that's in the same country, kind of. You know, Kofi said the FX2 and FX3 in Canada, I almost said Canada, are only like $600 apart on Amazon. Really? Yeah, it's kind of hard to justify getting an FX2 if the FX3's. I guess it depends what you need. I do like the idea of the downsampled image, because I never use 4K 120. I don't even use 4K 60. I just want really good 4K 24 most of the time. But yeah, it's all bizarre. I'm really excited about this potential of the Nikon ZR. That, like, if I'm saving up money for a new camera, because I don't need a new camera right now. I'd love to replace my FX30 as an A cam. Like, I'd love to bump that to like my overhead camera or something. And at the moment, there's just nothing that's like, oh yeah, that's the one to go for. But if the Nikon ZR comes out and it's like basically just a red camera in a Nikon kind of body, sort of FX3-ish vibes, I'll hop over. Or if Sean wants to send me an S1 II, I'll take it. Hook me up, Kofi. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's interesting, just like prices for things everywhere. Like, and I have to keep reminding myself of this whenever it comes to like spending money on cameras or how much camera gear should be worth, like, or even just YouTube stuff, like the value of everything on YouTube. Like, I'm really happy with my FX30 right now. I really don't need anything more. And it's kind of hard to like not just sort of jump on things and spend loads of money. This was my fun purchase, the ZF. This is my fun purchase that I've had recently, and I love it. So I'm kind of just sticking with that for now. But yes, so let me see. So yeah, so there's a couple of things I was going to chat about and to see what people's thoughts were, and specifically about getting free gear, right? So do people, and so there's 13 people in here right now. How do you guys feel about someone receiving free gear, and how much of that are they, would you expect that to be like something that would cause them to be biased or not biased against a product? Because my perspective on it has changed since getting the gear for free. For some reason, I find I'm more critical of gear that I get for free than I am of gear that I buy. But everyone's kind of different. Your vote doesn't count. What are you talking about? Oh, Brian, I'm looking at buying the Tarion camera gear desk stand that I believe you're using right now. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's good. I would recommend replacing the mic arm that it has connected to it, because when I hit the table, it just goes like bong, like really loud through the whole thing. So, but other than that, it works pretty well as long as you're using light enough cameras. Yeah, it's pretty great. Kofi said my vote doesn't count. That's just because, I don't know, people are going to start like disliking my video the way that they did with yours for some bizarre reason. I'm just joking. That was a weird day on your live stream. It was bizarre. Anyway, but yeah, so like my view of it is like changed. I used to kind of think it's like, well, you're going to be a little biased, right? But then I started getting free gear, and I'm like, because I don't need it. Like sometimes you get stuff and it's like, I don't need this. So you kind of are way more critical of it. Like there's a piece of gear sitting over there at the moment. It's like a slider that I asked for. I kind of feel bad about this. I asked for it. And then I got it and I'm like, it's fine. It's like, as far as sliders go, it works. It's not my favorite. Also, sliders are just like not my favorite pieces of gear, but it's like, I didn't spend my money on it. So it's like, well, you know, it's no skin off my back if I don't like it, because I'll just not talk about it. It's fine. Whereas if I buy gear like the ZF, I bought with my own money, and I'm like, I'm invested in this, literally. Like I've put money down for this, so I feel biased towards it because my money's right here, in a sense. I don't want to dislike this product because that means that I've wasted my money. Whereas if they sent me this and I hated it, then I could be like, well, doesn't matter to me, you know, like all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It depends on the person giving the review. Okay, I think some seem more trustworthy than others. Interesting. So one thing I've noticed is that for some reason, and I'm not saying you're saying this, I'm just going to call you PT. I don't know if that's your name, but I'm going to call you PT. PT, I don't know if this would necessarily what you're saying, but I've noticed people are typically far more critical of larger channels. It's like the larger the channel is, the less trust that channel has, which is an interesting take, because you would think that the larger the channel is, the more trust that they would have, because otherwise, why would they be a large channel? Because like, how would they gain a following if they weren't large? Like smaller channels are just automatically trusted because it's like, well, they're not making as much money off of it, I guess. So you just automatically trust small channels. And this is like a thing in general. It's like the little guy is never the bad guy, you know, for some reason, which is completely not true, you know. Like I said, like you start getting paid and start getting free gear easily from 1,000 subs. That's no different than when you have 100,000 subs. I mean, it might be. Well, it is like the numbers of how much you're making, sure. But But yeah, it's interesting. Like for some reason, there's just this automatic distrust of larger channels. Even though I could, if I wanted to be, I could be just as shady as a, I was about to say as a large channel, but that implies that a large channel is shady, but they're not necessarily. But small channels can be shady and large channels can be shady, you know? It just comes down to the person. And some people are really good at faking it. So, you know, and then the other side of things is, I'm not going to name names, but there are people on YouTube that just, they've monetized drama. Like they jump on, like, you know, if you hop on to YouTube and you start bashing someone and stirring up loads of trouble, you're going to get a lot of views. You just are. And then people are going to click in your description and they're going to click on your affiliate links and you're going to make money and you're going to grow a following. And you can build a channel off of just being a turd and just like lying about people and just being horrible and like spreading rumors and gossip and trying to tarnish other people. Like you can do that easily and it sells. Like drama sells so fast. And it sucks because then it means that I have to come along and I have to put together a document saying, here's my code of ethics, here's my code of conduct around sponsorships and receiving free gear so that I can be transparent with an audience that I technically don't have any reason to have to be transparent with. Right? This is my channel, I can technically do what I want. It's not really how I live my life that way necessarily. But I know I have to do that because otherwise people come along and it's like, well, you're this side of the channel, you're this type who do this sort of thing. And it's like, no, I'm just talking about cameras, dude. Chill out. Anyway, there's my rant for there's my rant for a little while. Night all, yo, Thomas in chat. How's it going? Thomas, I appreciate your video on rigging the FX30. I need to do more of those. I need to do more rigs for the FX30. I've got a couple new products and cages and stuff for the FX30 that I really like, and I need to rig it up again because rig videos make me lots of money. Like, let's put that out there. The majority, like I see a huge bump in my Amazon affiliate sales whenever I make rig videos. So sometimes I make rig videos because money's down a little bit and it helps because it's a popular thing to do. And I'll be blatantly transparent about that. But most of the time it's just because I really like a camera and I love rigging it up, or a company send me some products that are connected to a rig and then I'm like, I'll build the rig. But also those videos do perform best on this channel. So that helps build the channel and helps support me and my family. So I'm not going to complain. Don't know if I should have said all that, but that's okay. As for sponsorships, I'm starting to resent these companies for giving free gear to content creators and forcing the rest of us to plebs to purchase it. Dude, that's true. I kind of feel that for sure. But at the same time, like, going back to rig videos, like when I build a rig, like let's say I build a rig for the FX30 and the rig costs $1,000, but I build the rig video because I've received a product that I think would be great in that rig. And I'm like, oh, that video will do well because I know that that product's cool. Like I have one in particular that I'm probably going to do. I think it would just be perfect for an FX30 rig or an FX3 or FX2, whatever you want to do. But like, sure, I might get that product for free for like $100, right? That's $100 off of the price. I still have to go spend the other $900. So in the hopes that it works and then I still get paid. So, I mean, where I'm at, I'm still like, we're still plebs that we still have to go buy stuff ourselves. It happens all the time. Like I've made videos about the Nikon ZF. I bought that with my own money. And we still, like, I've seen other YouTubers as well. Kofi does this, and I've seen like Cam Mackey and stuff. Like they'll put on productions. Like they'll actually put lots of their own money into the videos. Now I'm assuming, I won't speak for them, but the idea is that the video pays for itself, right? But YouTube videos are not free to make. It costs money. Like even the video that I did, which was sponsored about this whole setup, still cost me probably a couple of $1,000s of other parts. No, not quite. Probably about $1,000 of other parts that I had to purchase to put that video together. And it's not even doing very well. It's not even performing that great. So I probably lost money on that one, but that doesn't matter. PT, good point. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's, yeah, for some reason people trust small channels. But I'll take it while I'm a small channel. I'll complain about it a lot more whenever I'm a big channel and nobody trusts me anymore. If I ever get there, we'll see. Oh, I'm just sick of the creators that are always changing brands or the vids. I'm leaving XXS for YYY. That's clickbait. I mean, it is clickbait. I do it. I did it saying that I'm switching to Lumix because I had the S9. I haven't switched to Lumix, but I still have it and I still use it. But I use both. Clickbait works. It's not always nefarious. So, clickbait to me is nefarious whenever it's like really misleading. But if it's got a big, like when I say like, you know, goodbye Sony question mark, it's got the question mark in there. So it's like, am I leaving Sony? I'm not right now, but I might. Again, if Nikon keep going the way that they're going, I'm probably switching. True, Nigel says true. I found myself not using more free gear that I get. I'm mostly locked into the gear I buy. There's something more interesting about using something you purchased that offers exactly my needs. Yeah, I feel more invested, and I think maybe this is a misconception because it does seem cool, and it is cool. Look, let's not lie about it. Whenever you grow on YouTube and you actually get to a point where someone sends you something, like that first time that you get something of actual value to you, because you get not the junk, right? You get sent junk all the time. But when you get that first thing, that like that set of lenses that I got, that I still use all the time, like if I'm filming something professional, I'll go out and I'll get that gear, like or like I'll go grab those lenses because they're still my favorite lenses. But the like that moment when you first start getting sent stuff, it's like that's kind of cool. Like I really enjoy that, but most of the time it's like, yeah, this is just junk stuff. But whereas when you buy something, you actually have to put a lot of thought into buying it. So yeah, it's an interesting thing for sure. Perhaps I would feel different if companies gave me free gear. Ask them. You never know. Or start a YouTube channel. Like if you're a working professional, this is actually like, this is not really connected to what we're talking about. But if you are a working professional in the camera space and you want another form of monetization, you should start a YouTube channel. Because you can make money on here. Like I've got 18,000 subs now. And like, it's not good money. Like it's not enough to live on, but it's pretty substantial. Like on top of my salary, like it makes enough for my wife and I. We opened a coffee shop like 2 years ago. So it's not nothing. You can make money. And if you're already a working professional and you have all of the content, like let's say you're a wedding videographer or a wedding photographer and you have all of the gear that you need to make videos, well, you could make a whole bunch of videos about wedding videography and wedding photography. You get to teach other people and you get to monetize those videos. And that's another form of monetization that you get from your equipment, you know, and then you might start getting free gear that you can use on your professional shoots. Plus, you don't need to go out and film B-roll for things because you already have done it, right? That's where I'm having a problem right now is like, I'm working on a review for a gimbal and I'm way behind on it. But like I'm behind on the video because I haven't had many opportunities to use it. Life's just been really busy. I've got another job. We've got a coffee shop, so I don't have the time. So like, whereas if you're actually a working professional, you already have all the stuff. You've got all your shots. You can just put them in. YouTube dating channels have mastered monetizing drama. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can monetize drama. It gets clicks. I hate that it gets clicks. I wish being a nice person got more clicks, but it doesn't. That's why drama does well. The only free stuff I say yes to these days are items I'd probably purchase / want to try myself. I'm sort of getting to that point because I've got so much junk lying around that I just either need to sell, which is probably a good idea, and get rid of, or do something about, because yeah, you get to a point where it is too much, and it's stuff that you don't even need. And this is the hard part. Like one of the hardest things in my mind about making like reviews on gear is that I can make a review from my perspective of how I use the piece of equipment, but like like ages ago, I made a video about cage, like all the different cage options for the Sony a6700, and somebody went out and bought one of them, but then went into the comments and ranted at me because they were like, well, it covers the hot shoe, but I've never used the hot shoe on my a6700 because I don't really use flashes. So it wasn't even something that crossed my mind. No, I should have tested that. I should have thought of that. But it's really hard to like test gear that you don't even necessarily need or use, and test everything efficiently. My brain doesn't work like that. That's where people like the Gerald and Duns come in, because his mind just works better to be able to be so analytical about a piece of gear. But it can be hard. Rig videos are useful as heck too. Yeah, I mean, I love a good rig. I prefer a good cine rig on a nice pair of sticks to a gimbal any day, personally. Most of my videos I put money into a hole and never see it again for like 6 to 8 months. Different sponsors come up. Yeah. Oh, if a different sponsor comes up. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's some videos that I've made that I look back on and I'm like, dang, yeah, I spent a lot of money and I've made nothing in return. Like I talk about this on every live stream, but I have the little XM5 here by Fujifilm. I ordered that 8 months ago and I just got it about a month and a half ago. Still never made a video about it. So I spent like $900 to $1,000 8 months ago and nothing. Like, haven't used it, haven't touched it, haven't made a video about it. I've taken some photos on it, but I hate the kit lens. So yeah, we spend money. Like, it costs money to make videos. And yes, a lot of the times you never actually get to see it again. But the idea is obviously long term, you know, if you can get the channel to grow and the channel to build, then spending money on your channel makes more sense in the long run. But it hurts. It hurts along the way. Cyclops, how's it going? I've always felt as long as a YouTuber says up front that they didn't pay for product, then it's good. This being a YouTuber is very expensive. Yeah, that's true. So hang on, let's hang on, I'll go through these last two things. When was the first time you got sent something? At how many subs? I think, Jacob, I think I was at about 800 to 1,000 subs. I mean, something of value. I got contacted when I had about 200 subs to be a brand ambassador for some really edgy bracelets. And I said no. I was like, no. Let me look back on my channel, see what the first video that I ever made for a product that I received for free was. It would have been a while ago. The channel is about 2.5 years old now. I don't actually, it was a decent bit in. I actually have no idea. Maybe one of the first rigs that I did, it might have been the YouTube rig or my Zcam rig. I might have received a product in there. I honestly can't remember. I don't think I did. The first video that I definitely received products for free was the 7 Artisans T1.05 lenses. I'm pretty sure I got those for free. I think I bought one of them. I actually can't remember. Gosh, that was so long ago, I can't remember. I know for sure Axun's, so this is about 1.5 years ago, the Axun Simo is the one for sure I definitely got for free. Those cine lenses, I'm not 100% certain. The first product that I got for free that I still use today were the ZY Optic Speedmaster series. They're like T1.0 Speedmaster lenses. They're for APS-C, and I love the look of those lenses. They're kind of like, they're really interesting lenses, obviously at T1.0. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think I had a huge following by then. 1,000, couple of thousand maybe. Thanks, Cyclops. You bought the Osmo Pocket and Action 5, all the accessories. Have I made a video? Nope. I feel you. Yeah, I'm kind of kicking myself because DJI sent me the Osmo a while ago and I made a video about it, and then I sold it to a friend of mine, and now the tariffs hopped up like 3 weeks after I sold it, and the tariffs increased the value of it by like $300, and I was like, gosh darn it, I should have waited. Yeah, bracelets. Look, yeah, I mean, any other YouTubers in here, like, these guys know you can maybe share some of the ridiculous stuff that you get asked as well. But yeah, you get talked to by so many companies that are like trying to promote random things. Like, let me see what the most recent one was. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be doing this. I don't know what this is why we're going to be talking about the ethics of this today, which I really need to get started on. So this was last night. I got contacted by somebody wanting me to talk about acoustic panels, but they're like the super thin foam ones, on which I guess they got from a video where I did mention in my studio I have acoustic panels, but I specifically said those cheap little square foamy things don't do anything. But that's the one that they want me to check out, which I think is kind of funny. You just get asked about stuff all the time. All right, let me hop over to this real quick, just while any more other comments here hop in. But this is the document that I have that I was going to work on. That so Cyclops, you mentioned one thing. I think it was Cyclops. Let me see. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you mentioned about as long as someone says up front. So I'll maybe not put that in here because this is specifically for the brands. But one of the things is like, so for those of you who missed it at the start, by the way, like whenever I get contacted by a brand, I'm putting together this document that says, here are my boundaries. So for example, if a company wants to send me a product and they are not sponsoring it, like they're not paying me, then they do not get, I'll put this in a better format later, but they do not get any reviews, revisions, or oversight on the content itself. So like, this is just a little bit of an example, but so the brand that are sending me the product, they get zero input on the content that I make. So where this gets a little bit more complicated, right, is when a contract gets involved. And this is one of the things, I saw a video recently of somebody who was just going all off on other YouTubers, even though he's a relatively large YouTuber himself, talking about contracts. For some reason, this is something I've noticed recently, more and more companies are asking for contracts, even if you're not being sponsored, but it is to guarantee that they get a video. So, which is kind of new, right? So in the past, it used to be, from my experience, they would send the video, they would send the product, and I would basically say, like, I'll make a video if I like it. If I don't like it, I'm not going to make a video. Like, that's just how it's going to work. Because I don't really want to talk about it if I don't like it. Not because I want to back away from it, but it's like, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's a bad product. It might not, it's just not for me, you know. Now, if something's absolute garbage, maybe, you know, especially if it's expensive and it's really popular, then I'll maybe talk about it. But most of the time, no, I'll probably make a video, but if I don't like it, I won't. Nowadays, they're actually requesting contracts. So here's kind of what I'm thinking, and you guys can tell me about this, and how you feel about this. I don't want to be signing contracts if I'm not getting sponsored, right? I'm kind of like, look, if you want to send me a product, you can send me a product, and I will make the video in my own way, right? This is where this comes in. No reviews, revisions, no oversight of the content at all. However, if a company are going to send me something of great value, right? Let's say a company wants to send a camera, right? I think at that point, let's say a value of $1,500 or more. Let me just put in, right, no contractual agreements. So ideally, I don't want to be doing contractual agreements, right? But if the product is over a certain value, I'd be tempted to allow a contract that allows a guarantee of the video, if that makes sense. So I can basically say, like, okay, you're sending me this product, which is valued at like $1,500. Let's say we put the cap at $1,500, which seems kind of reasonable. Maybe even $1,000 to $1,500. If you send me a product that is over $1,500, then I will enter into a contract to say that I will guarantee that you get the video. If you're sending me a product that's worth $20, I'm not guaranteeing you're getting a video because it might be garbage. But at the same time, yes, if you're going to send me a camera, I'll enter into a contract that says you definitely get the video, but you don't get to see what it's going to look like. You don't get to see the, you know, what's the word? Like you don't get to review it beforehand. You don't get to make any changes. None of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Anyway, that was a bit of a ramble. I don't know if that makes any sense. Let me hop back in here and see what people are saying. YouTuber here, most ridiculous item offered was oh wow, okay. Yeah, that's different. I've not come across that one yet. I did a dash cam video and now I get a bunch of car accessories. Oh yeah, it is kind of a weird thing. I don't know if they like follow hashtags or like random, I don't know, AI stuff that sort of says, oh, this person's interested in this. But yeah, I've never heard from a single acoustic company until I mentioned acoustic panels in this room once in a video, and all of a sudden it popped in. Oh, John's here. You get 1 million robot vacuum requests now. Not the worst thing, but it's not your main thing in the channel. That's fair. Oh, Kofi's getting all the love. Kofi, I've been following you for a while. Very cool. Well, thank you. That's very kind. Kofi's great. I got to see him for about 10 seconds at NAB. We talked about trying to catch up there, but you were a hot commodity at NAB this year, Kofi. The whole lot of you running around. But yeah, there's more. Cyclops, you rock. Love your content. There you go. Very cool. That's one of my favorite things about the camera YouTube space is people are pretty encouraging, and I think this is something that the guys who run the podcast, you know, the Jarrell and Brandon, I think they've done a good job of just kind of bringing a whole bunch of like YouTube-y creator camera people together. Like there's a whole bunch of people that I actually talk to on a regular basis that I sort of met or first heard about through their chat in their live stream. Like Israel, I'd seen him in the chat and then we saw him at NAB, and now, you know, we were talking about he's going down to Texas and we chat relatively frequently, you know, so it's a really interesting space. It's not quite what I expected. Kind of when I first started, I wasn't super aware of the smaller creator space. I say smaller, everyone else is blowing up and getting really big. But it was kind of like, you know, there was Matty Hapoya and, you know, all those ones. Like the really, really big channels. So this is like 3 years ago. And now the channels were, so like I think Kofi and them and Cam and all those ones were probably about the size of my channel when I first started like 3 years ago, at a guess. Probably 20-ish. That's a guess. I have no idea. But so it's kind of just been fun to sort of see other people growing. And I'm also sort of on the tails, like sort of catching up with a lot of other people. I'm like, it's kind of fun to catch up. Or other people, like I remember watching Mark Weimels back in the day, and he had like, I don't know, like 30,000 subs. And I watched a video of his the other day and he has like 150. And I was like, where did that happen? People seem to grow. It's really cool. Anyway. Yeah, so far as a smaller creator, I've felt nothing but love and bigger eyes. Yeah. No, people are nice. Like, I don't know what it's, you're mainly in the tech space, right? Talking about Apple products and stuff like that. I don't really know much about the other creators in that space. But it is kind of fun. Like once you start doing this, the community gets really small really fast. I think there's like this daunting thing of like YouTubers are these like people that exist only on the internet. And then you start doing it and you're like, oh yeah, we're just people. And every channel was small. Every channel was my size at one point. So people get it. So that's quite nice. Polar said, have you thought about expanding on TikTok? No, I haven't. Not because it wouldn't be valuable. Honestly, I just hate social media. I know that's ironic because that's what I do on here. TikTok in particular, I don't have anything like... So here's kind of my problem with TikTok, realistically. And it's not anything that I would ever put on somebody else or think that you have to think either, right? So this is just me. Whenever TikTok kind of first started taking off, you know, me and my wife would be lying in bed and we'd just be, you know, she'd download TikTok and we'd be scrolling through watching these funny, cute dog videos. And it was funny. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then, so I was like, I'll download TikTok. And I downloaded it, put in my information. And I guess because it heard that I was a 20-something-year-old male at the time, they were like, oh, we'll just push loads of videos of young girls dancing inappropriately to him because that's what he wants to see. And I was like, that's not. So like that's not what I want to see. You know, it's like so I was literally lying there with my wife. She was watching dog videos and I download the app and the first thing that pops up is people twerking. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, so that whole like algorithm thing. And I work for a church. I work with teenagers at a church. So I was like, this is just not worth it. And everyone's like, oh, you just got to push past it, get the algorithm sorted out. And I was like, that's not worth it. I'm not going to bother. I'm happy enough with YouTube's enough for me. I'm happy enough. I don't spend a whole lot of time on my phone anyway. That was a rant. Again, that's not me saying that you have to think that. That was just my experience. And I was just like, you know what? Not worth it for me, personally. Also, I hate making shorts. So I don't like short form content. I don't like making short form content because I like to talk a lot. And I cannot restrict my brain to 60 seconds of information. I talk too much. It's much better now, but if I wasn't a creator on it, I would have uninstalled it a long time ago. I hope it's better now. It was just a problem. It just seemed like that's all it was. For any guy that I talked to who had TikTok, anytime I looked over a shoulder of a guy on TikTok and he was swiping, it was just like inappropriate stuff. Which again, inappropriate is what's the word? Depends on your point of view, right? What's inappropriate to me, you may not think is inappropriate, but for me in my position and where I am, it was not what I wanted. So not any hate or anything against other people using it. It just wasn't right for me. John said, and there's no money in TikTok. YouTube is a much better fit. That's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, like, to be fair, like, shorts make nothing, really. Like, you have to have a short blow up big time for it to do well. Like, I made a short about the Nikon, the ZF, and it got about 45,000 views, which is pretty good for my size channel, I thought. Made like $2. Whereas like a longer video that doesn't take me all that much longer to make sometimes, could make me, I don't know what that would be. 40, 50? No, $80, $100, something like that. I don't know. It depends. It depends on the video. It depends on the monetization. Never mind all of the Amazon affiliates and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't have a desire to do it, but I know it works really well for some other people. Anyway, does anybody have any thoughts about the contract stuff and what we were talking about of the what I was mentioning earlier, right? This stuff. I'm going to try and drag the conversation back to this. I know that it never seems to work. Anytime I've done a live and I've tried to have a specific topic that I want to talk about, we never get to cover it. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about contracts for free gear? Do you think that's wrong? Is that something that needs to be disclosed? Like, I am contractually in on this. Obviously, I know the actual law behind this, right? The law is that you don't need to say that. If you get free gear, you can say, yeah, I got this for free. If you're sponsored, you have to say that you're sponsored. And if you, as far as I understand, because I haven't really had much experience with this, I've had one experience with this, but there are other agencies out there that kind of like find you sponsors, and sort of work with you to find the sponsorships. Those you don't even have to announce either, because they're not actually paying you, right? So like, let's say I do a sponsorship with, like the most recent sponsorship I did was for this desk with FlexiSpot. Let's say a mediator company worked with me to go to FlexiSpot. I don't have to talk about the mediating company because they're not paying me and I'm not paying them. It's just like this in-between sort of thing. But I do have to disclose that FlexiSpot were the ones that paid me to make that video. But when it's free gear, is a contract unreasonable? Or do we think that if I said no contractual agreements unless product is valued above, I'm going to say something arbitrary, let's say $1,500. Again, this is not actually going to brand today. This is more for conversation here and see what you guys think. So thoughts and stuff like that, right? So yeah, no contracts. But if you are sending me a product that is over a certain value, then yes, I'll certainly talk about guaranteeing that you're definitely going to get a video. Otherwise, I'm not going to make a contract with you. but you can send me the product if you want. And yeah, I'll make a video about it, but if I hate it, I won't. It's that's kind of where I'm at. Night Owl said, I think on my channel it's about £1 for 10,000 short views. That's pretty bad. But I mean, they're a lot shorter. And I guess it depends on how much time and work you put into your shorts. If you just turn on your phone for 30 seconds, then that's actually pretty good. If you get that a lot, you know. John Adams, that's true. I mostly earn from collaborations, but bigger creators get paid as well. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't really know. You don't see very many sponsorships on. You don't see sponsorships on Insta or on TikTok or Instagram the way that you do on YouTube, right? Because there's not like sponsored integrations. So that's one of the weird things where I could make a video talking for 20 minutes about the Nikon ZF, but it's sponsored by a light company. But you don't really see that in short form content. There's not really enough time for that. It's more like an ad, like you just make an ad and you post it on your channel. It depends. Are you actually being honest about the product, and would you even answer this question honestly if you weren't? Yeah, that's a fair question. Honest about the product is like that's such a vague term as well, because like honest to what extent? Because like I mentioned this earlier in the chat, but I've received products that I didn't mention the negative aspects of because I didn't know that they existed, which may be just bad reviewing on my part. That is completely fair. But also it's just because, like, for example, I reviewed a camera cage and that camera cage blocked the hot shoe port of the camera. I didn't notice because I never used that hot shoe port of that camera. Now I used the hot shoe port of the FX30, so I probably should have noticed, but I didn't. So anyway, it's not like I wasn't being honest about it, because dishonesty would be for me to say, if I was being dishonest, I would have noticed that, not said it, and then pushed it to try and just make money on it. But most of the time, and almost everybody that I know, actually everybody I know who makes videos, they're honest. They'll talk about a negative. And if they don't talk about a negative, usually it's because they haven't experienced that negative, right? Overheating is a prime example of that. Every camera brand has had overheating problems with certain cameras that come out. A6700, for example, is the one on this channel that I've experienced. Never overheated on me. Never once. And I've pushed it. Like, I've used it on hour-long podcasts. I've used it a lot, and it's never overheated on me. So from an honesty perspective, I can say it's not overheating on me. That doesn't mean that overheating is not a problem, but I haven't experienced it. So it's hard for me I'm not being dishonest by not talking about the overheating, because I've never experienced it. Now, if I used the camera and it overheated on me every 10 seconds and I didn't mention that would be a problem. But I don't think people do that. I've never heard of or know anybody who's ever done that personally. What counts as free gear and what counts as sponsorships? Okay, so Polar, free gear is when a company sends you a product. That is it. They just literally just send you a product. Sponsorship is when they send you the product, but they also pay you. And from my experience, the way it works is they will send you money, right? So they will literally say, okay, here's the product, and we will pay you X amount of dollars to talk about this product. And in the contract at that point, within the details of the contract, a lot of the time, if not almost all the time, it says that they get to see the video and make changes to their specific segment before the video goes live. So I've got 3 sponsored videos in this channel because I turned down most of them. But I will make the video, I post it on YouTube, and I leave it unlisted. I will then send the link of that video to the sponsor. And then the sponsor can say, okay, we like all of this, but we don't like that wording that you've used, right? Can you change that? You could probably then have back and forth. I've never had this problem. I've never had anybody say this isn't okay. I've never had a single company say no to a draft. But I guess in theory, they can then say, okay, we don't like this section. Or they could say this section's factually incorrect, right? Maybe you've just messed up something. They get to review it, they get to test it. And then once they approve the video, then you're allowed to post it and you get paid. So free gear just means you get the gear, you say whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, no problems, doesn't matter, right? They're just wanting to get views on their product. Even if it's bad press, it's better than no press. Sponsorship is when you actually get paid. So now recently I've had companies say, okay, we want to sponsor this video, but your payment is the product. I just say no. Like that's just a no for me. To me, that's a slippery slope, because I have to separate that in my mind. Okay, either you're giving me a product for me to do with what I want, or you're paying me to advertise your product. Two different things. If I'm not getting paid, then I'm not labeling this as a sponsored video. So anytime the video says paid promotion, like whenever you start the video, it'll say like paid promotion up here or something like that. Or if they say this video is sponsored by ... that means that they have actually received money for that specific section of the video. And that brand is going to review the video. Usually. I've never heard of it happening that they don't get to review it, but maybe. Who knows? Every person has to handle it differently. I do this full time as my job. I have yet to sign any contract, but I'm in a different space. Interesting. What space are you in? I need to check out your channel. You've commented, and we've had a lot of back and forth on YouTube, but I haven't actually. Let me check out your channel here. I think I've clicked on your channel before, but so you've done. Out of curiosity, have you done sponsored stuff with no contract? Because that'd be really interesting. But again, I guess it depends on the space. So, okay, very cool. I have a buddy here at our church, actually has a YouTube channel in the same space that you're in. I'll give you a subscribe there. And he's looking at growing. He's looking at trying to get some sponsorships and stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess it works differently in each space. I kind of hate that it works differently in each space. You feel like it should work the same, but Patrick, I'd make sure you have an indemnification. I need to know what that one means. Indemnification clause, and they waive any rights for filing suit if they don't like what you had to say about their product. Yeah, okay, that's fair. First off, I'm going to look up what an indemnification clause is, but I'm going to put it in my list. Okay, we'll put it in the list here. Oh, hang on, I need to take that down. Indemnification clause. Clause with an E. Clause. What do you spell clause? I'm dyslexic. This is a bad time to be dyslexic. It does have an E. Nice. Okay. Indemnification clause. I'm guessing, so you said that's so that they can't sue me. So I'm guessing that protects me from that. That makes sense. Good to know. Good to know. So Kofi's saying yes. I'm assuming you're saying that about Patrick's, potentially, because you're pointing to Patrick. Either way, indemnification clause. Good to know. I feel like many creators will say positive things about a product so they keep getting sponsors. If you constantly knock products, sponsors will not reach out. I don't know. See, I haven't seen that happen. I haven't seen that happen where people stop, like people put you on like a blacklist of like do not contact. But I'm also a small channel, so I really don't know. What I will say is, so here you said something about they will say things so they keep getting sponsors. If the video is sponsored, yes, they won't let you say something negative. Most of the time. Sometimes they will. Sometimes brands are like, actually, you can just say whatever you want, and actually do include the negative, because honesty is important to a lot of people. Some brands are like, yeah, you can be honest. If you have a negative, you can say it. Don't make it too dramatic, but say it. And that helps actually with a little bit of like brand honesty. Some brands are kind of okay with that. It depends on the brand. But yes, if all you're doing is trying to get sponsors to get paid so you can just have more money and you're faking things along the way to get there, yeah, that's totally sleazy. But you need to have some pretty firm evidence to show that somebody's actually doing that. Do you know what I mean? Because again, sometimes people just like products. There's products, like let's talk about cameras, right? I love my FX30. I actually love APS-C cameras, right? That's all I've talked about on this channel because I think this is changing. We'll talk about that another time. But especially like 5 years ago or 2-3 years ago, whenever I first started this channel, APS-C was the best way to go if you're on a budget because you could get really high quality cameras for a really good price. That is changing, right? The APS or the full frame budget market is changing. So that's starting to change. But a lot of people were like, oh, APS-C sucks, you're dumb. I'm like, they're like, you're just, being dishonest, you're just trying to get sales. And I'm like, no, I like it. So it's hard. You need pretty firm proof to say that somebody's being intentionally neglective of bad things just to get sponsors. Otherwise, you're just assuming, which you can assume all you want. That's fine. Like some people maybe do that. I don't know. I don't. This is just little old me here. I don't do that. I hope. I don't think I do. Sometimes I feel like I lack the self-awareness to even know what I do, but that's just me. Night Owl. It's impossible for a single creator to cover every aspect of a product. True. And if we did, the video would probably be very long and boring. Yeah, oh my goodness, yeah. Like, especially when you're talking about a camera cage, or you're talking about, I don't know, like an L bracket for a camera. It's hard to cover everything. And oftentimes negative things about products don't show up until 6 months later. And then, yeah, you can go ahead and make a video about it and talk negatively about it then. But in the moment, like whenever you get a product and you're trying to get a video out within like 2 weeks to a month, sometimes it's hard to find the bad parts, Mark Man, how's it going? I think some issues may be overblown if someone can figure out how to work around it or use something in its limits, you can still get good shots. Yeah, that's true. Yes, so like a negative of a camera, let's say something has a problem, but there's a clear, easy fix for it. I think it's better just to label, like say the fix, and then the people in the comments can decide if that fix is worth it or not. For example, cameras overheating, you can just slap a little fan on the back. That fixes the problem. Or use a dummy battery, right? That's what I do. I'll just use dummy batteries and build it into a rig. Now, some people hate that. Some people are like, well, I don't want to have to buy a camera that I have to get other accessories for. That's fine. Well, that's not the camera for you then. If you don't like that, if you don't like having to buy an accessory to fix a problem, then you need to find the perfect camera, which good luck, right? Because all cameras have problems in some capacity. Like to me, the Nikon Z6 III noise, it may not be as good, but if you can fix it, it looks good. Yeah. So I have no experience with the Z6 III. I've heard people talking about the noise. I've watched people's videos. I didn't notice bad noise. But again, depending on what you're doing, like most of what I do is in a studio environment, so I have lighting. So noise isn't a problem because if I'm having to push 6400 ISO in a studio, I've got a problem, right? My lights are bad, or I'm just not good at my job. That's kind of my view on that. But I've had a brand do that. I'm guessing you're talking about corrections. Oh yeah, so corrections to a draft. You've had a brand do that, but it's because I called the product the wrong thing. That's funny. Wait, twice I made a comment about firmware that the customer would never have to update to. Okay, yeah. Sometimes, but like that's funny. If it's the sponsorship and you called it the wrong name, that's like saying the wrong name down the aisle or in your wedding vows. It's not, but it's still kind of funny. But yeah, so yeah, if you do sponsorships, yes, they can certainly allow you to go in and correct that, or they'll tell you to. And usually, I think it's probably you're not going to get paid if you post the video anyway. I'd guess. I don't know anybody who has just violated contracts like that. But like I've had an experience where I got asked to do a sponsorship for a brand, and the brand told me, "Hey, we'll pay you in commission," which isn't ideal, right? Since I've decided to not do commission. I'll take commission, but only if there's an upfront payment as well. So commission is basically like, hey, everyone that signs up for our product, we'll give you this much money. And it was a really good deal, right? So it was a free program, and they said everybody that signs up, you will pay you $150 per person. And I was like, sweet. Like, and it was a relatively decent program. It was a program that allows you to, it's like a management, right? So managing your time, your calendar, all of your stuff. It was just a nice little sort of life management program. And it was, for every person that signs up for a free product, or everyone that signs up for a free account and uses it, we'll pay you $150. I was like, sweet. So I got the video made, put a lot of work into it, researched, learned the whole program, spent a lot of hours learning the program, made the video, sent it off, or was about to send it off, and I emailed the company and said, hey, just finishing it up. And they said, okay, sounds good. Send it through to us whenever you're done. Just a heads up, we've changed the commission to $50 per person. I was like, what? Like, it was 150. You slashed it by a third, and you haven't even seen the video yet. And they were like, yeah, that's just the way it is. And I was like, yeah, but we have a contract. Like, the contract says 150. And it's signed. Like, we both signed it. You signed it. I signed it. And they said, doesn't matter. We're doing 150. And I said, that's not legal. Like, we're contracted. And they said, tough. So I then had to make the decision. Do I go ahead and take the $50 per person that signs up? Or do I just scrap the whole thing? In a sense, I wanted to keep going because I was like, $50 per person is still not bad. And I have put a lot of work into this. But I decided to just scrap it because I actually reached out to Nigel Bajos and talked to him about it. And he was like, I've never heard of anybody doing that. And if it was me, I would just back out because there's nothing to stop them from turning around next week and paying you $5 per person. And I was like, that's a good point. And he was like, and it's good. You can have transparency with your audience. So I was pretty early on in my YouTube space at that time. So that was really helpful. He gave some good insight on that. But I was really glad I did back out on that one because, who knows? They could just turn around and say, yeah, we're not going to pay you anymore. You're like, well, now I have to take down a video. So working with brands can be kind of stressful. Clause with an E. I got that fixed. Got that in there. I've done sponsored videos with no contract. Wow. But there's always an understanding handshake on deliverables. But I also take payment for reviews. Either ad, mid-roll. Okay. You take payment for reviews that aren't sponsored? Or... because I know in the camera space, that would get us in trouble. People would not like that. Personally, I don't know. But I might just be looking into that wrong. If the complaints are justified, that might genuinely help the brand improve their product. Yeah, totally. So I think a brand is more likely to listen to you if you have a negative with the product, but you present, like you say, hey, here's something that needs fixed. Here's how it's a problem. Fix it. But if you turn around, you're just like, this thing's a piece of garbage. Like, nobody should ever buy this. This company is just the worst company ever. How dare they build a product that does this? And, it's not actually the most major problem in the world. And you just like completely tarnish the company. Then they're just going to hate you and probably never send you anything again. And you will get in trouble, probably. So I think it depends how you present. There you go. I think it depends how you present the negative. If you're unprofessional about it, most likely won't talk to you. Yeah, exactly. Viewers will think you're more trustworthy too. I think it depends, right? Viewers love drama. This isn't me saying anything negative just about viewers in general. I'm sorry, that sounded really negative against viewers in general, but drama sells. So people like to just hate on products because you get more views that way. And more views is one way to make more money. So some people use that to try and build a brand anyway. And it's probably worse because you're not going to get paid. You would make more money through affiliate sales than you would through like Google advertisement. So it's better that if there's a negative, point it out. But if it doesn't break the product, then point it out and move on. I love my FX30. It's the best of both worlds. I love it. It's just so solid. It just works so well. And like I've got my LUT my favorite LUT built into the camera now. And every time I film stuff, it just makes me happy. Like we were filming, there was a big event here in our town, and the guy Cody, I can't remember his last name, he did this painting, but he goes to big sporting events and he paints with his hands, and he makes a lot of money with his paintings. But anyway, I got to film him doing one of his paintings, and there was really just beautiful lighting, and it was just like, it just turned out well. I was so excited. Exactly. There's the ones spending money. Well, they're the ones spending money, so they need to know of any potential negatives. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so if a company have built a product that has an issue, they'll want to know, right? That's why I think that's why they send it to reviewers, right? It's like, hey, like there's a couple of companies that I've worked with, and they said, hey, we've got this product, we'd love to know your thoughts, right? There's been 2 or 3 products I've received, and they don't even ask for a video. They just say, hey, we want to know what you think about this. I do make a video because it's good for the channel, so I make a video anyway. And I think they probably assume that, but there's not even an ask for a video. So sometimes they just need to send products to people who actually use that kind of stuff. And then we can tell them, it's like, yeah, it's really good, but I don't like this. For example, I've got a video next week coming out about the RS Mini 4, or RS4 Mini gimbal. I've got issues with it. I've got 2 or 3 problems with it that I don't like. And I told them. And I'm way behind on the video, but I'm still putting the video out because, like what we talked about earlier, I was able to get third-party products that fixed the problems that I had. But you'll see that in a future video. But I did tell them, it's like, look, great gimbal works really well. I don't like these things, but doesn't break the product. The product still works great. It's just minor stuff. So they're probably not going to change it, but hopefully for the next one they will. Anyway. I'm pretty open about not liking the FX2, and Sony is entirely unbothered by it. Yeah, that's fair. I don't think they're surprised. And I actually think they maybe appreciated the fact, Kofi, that you were one of the few people that still actually put the camera through its paces before hating on it. Most people just hated on it and didn't give it any light of day, which I think was a shame. So I think they probably appreciated that you actually still gave it a chance. And I don't think you were that critical. I think your video was very fair. The Santa Claus, I should put that in there as well. My A7C II overheats sometimes, but I still really like that camera. Yeah, every camera has problems, and the question is, can you live with the problems that it has, right? So, like, would I like my FX30 to be full frame? Yeah, of course I would. But I don't want to spend $4,000 in an FX3. So I'm not going to. I'm perfectly happy with it as is. I don't get paid for reviews. Okay, good. I was a little concerned about that when I first read it. I was like, anyway. And you don't take commission deals either. Yeah, commission deals are a bit weird. Like if it's just commission, I don't mind getting commission for sponsored videos as long as I'm also getting paid. Like, because there's no guarantee of payment. Like the way commission works is like, for those of you who don't know, like again, let's say the video about FlexiSpot, they could basically say, hey, we're not going to pay you up front, but every desk that we sell through your link, we'll give you 10%. It's like, that sounds really good, but there's no guarantee that anybody's going to buy it. So I don't want to put in all that work and not have the rights to say what I want to say about the product without guarantee of payment. Like in the professional world, you got to think about it in the professional world as well. When you're filming commercials for TV, right, or ads for YouTube or for social media, you're never going to make an ad for a company and not get paid for it and just hope that they might pay you at some point down the line. Like a sponsored segment in a YouTube video is like making an ad. It is making an ad. You're making an ad for that company. That's all it is. And this is one of the thing that I think is really cool about YouTube is, like, in a sense, I'm getting to work with brands and make ads for brands more than I did when I worked in this field professionally. Like I've done 2 or 3 commercials that have been on TV for smaller, well, one of them was huge, but smallish companies, right? Local. And I got paid. But I've been able to see way more of that and work with brands through YouTube than I did without it. So if you're looking at it from a professional perspective of like working in advertisement, which is a professional, format of videography and film, is making advertisements. Well, you get to do it here, which is kind of cool. If you want to get into that space and you want to put the work into it, right? You want to do a good job. I don't know if that made any sense. Hey Thomas, Mr. McClure, don't know if I'm too formal. That's a little formal, Sky. I appreciate it though. Mr. McClure is my father. I was on the last live you had, and we were talking about lenses. I wanted to say that I just bought the A6700 and the Tamron lens. Oh, you did the 17-70? I love that lens. I don't have it at the moment because a friend of mine used it and he won't give it back because he loves it too. So yeah, it's a great lens. It's the do it all. That 17-70, and the A6700 is just a great little camera. If I didn't have the FX30, I would use it a whole lot more. Thanks for the advice. You're welcome. I appreciate that. Also, I don't take half payment, then the rest later. Yeah, I've been burned that way before and it stinks. Yeah, get paid up front. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. What it comes down to is being transparent, and the audience will appreciate my opinion. But we all got bills to pay, so that's true, right? So, in the YouTube space, like if you're trying to make money, that might even be a weird way to start that. If you're in YouTube and you're wanting to do this full time, you need to make money, right? To pay the bills, and depending on the niche that you're in. The niche that you're in may not be large enough to pay your bills and allow you to serve your audience in the way that you want to if you don't get paid enough, right? Oh, my mouse is in the screen. So, like for me, like I really enjoy what I do here on YouTube. It's not my full-time gig, but if it was my full-time gig, I still want to be able to make really good content for you guys. Like there's a lot of instant gratification when it comes to YouTube. And whenever you see people like Sky here, right, just went out and bought a camera, and he's excited to use it, and you see people growing in their skill base, and they're learning and they're doing better. Like it's really cool to see, right? And it's really fun to just be a part of that with some people. Or when you get to build like a cinema rig and people are like, oh, I love it, I'm going to go do that, and then people send you photos of their cinema rig that they've used. And it's just fun. It's a cool environment to be in. I can't do that for my community if I don't make enough to live on, right? Otherwise, I'm going to have to take the time that I would be dedicating to them and putting it elsewhere. No, again, obviously right now, this is not my full-time thing. So you have to make money. Like taking sponsorships is not wrong, right? In my opinion, it's not wrong to take sponsorships. Sometimes I don't like doing it because it's more work, right? And again, I just don't have a lot of time. I've got a full-time job. My wife and I own a coffee shop. Got family, friends that I'm trying to see, and all of this. So it's a lot. But if I want to do this full time, I'm going to need to take on sponsorships, and I need to do that so that I can make videos for you. Now, one thing, I'm trying to pull us back in here. So with this one thing that I'm tempted to say with sponsored content, I've been asked this a couple of times, but I don't personally want to do fully dedicated sponsored videos currently. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I much prefer the format of 90 to 120 seconds sponsored segments within videos, right? For a couple of reasons. I'll get into that in a second, but I'm going to put that in here. Sponsored segments only. Sponsored segments. Not full dedicated videos. Now, the reason I say that is so a company might reach out to you and they might say, hey, we want you to do a fully dedicated video to this product. And at that point, you're just making an ad, right? Which is fine. That's totally fine. But I don't really like doing that. Personally, I don't really want to do that. I've found those videos don't perform as well, and people are typically more critical. And I just don't need to subject myself to that. Personally, I don't need the money right now. Now, that might change down the line, at which point I will change this document. But for now, doing a sponsored segment within a video makes more sense to me, where it basically, like, I don't know, let's say again, I'm talking about the Nikon ZF. So make a whole video dedicated to the Nikon ZF, but at one random point throughout the video, I will talk about this keyboard as my keyboard that I love talking about, and I will talk about its features, and I will say positive things about it, and that is the segment of the video that is sponsored to help me pay the bills, to allow me to buy the Nikon ZF so that I can share it with you guys. It's no different from you running a little mid-roll ad in your video where you see a 90-second unskippable ad on YouTube. Instead of you watching that video, and I get 0.0001 of a penny when you watch that, I put my own little ad in there, at which point I get $500, $1,000. That makes more sense, right? And you can still skip past it, right? So every time I've made a video with a sponsored segment, when you go back into the analytics, right, where you can see where people are watching along the video, right? So obviously at the start you got loads of views and it slowly trickles down as people click off the video. Wherever the sponsored segment is, it just goes whoop, and then it picks back up because people skip it. That's fine. You can skip it. It's no skin off my back. I got paid, right? I make the video and I'll talk about the sponsored segment for those who want to watch it. But that allows me to then go out and buy more stuff to talk about what I actually want to talk about. Now there's another side to that as well. If I make a dedicated video about an individual product, let's say, hypothetically, let's say Sure send me a lens and they say, we want to sponsor this video. Well, basically I just make a 8-minute video about that lens. They get to see it and then I post it, and I probably am not allowed to say the negatives. I don't know. They might allow me to. This is all hypothetical. I have no idea. But in my experience, videos that are about an individual product don't perform very well. They just don't do well, right? They're not very popular on YouTube where it's like, here's a lens. Whereas if I make a video saying like comparing multiple lenses, or if I make a video about a lens and how I use it with a specific camera, those videos do really well. But brands don't like it when you do that, right? For sponsored videos. They will sometimes even tell you what the title is supposed to be, sometimes. So my thing is, I actually think it just hurts my channel. Wow, am I getting all framey? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Sometimes I find that hurts the channel a little bit because the video doesn't perform as well. And sometimes like they want to form their ad in a way that they want it to be rather than what I know actually works well on my channel with my viewers. So there's been times where like a brand have reached out and said, hey, we want to send you this product. Here's what we want the video to be about. And I said, well, I don't think that's going to do very well with my audience based off of my experience. What if I incorporate it into this video where I'm talking about lots of other pieces of gear and I give it a highlight there? They usually just say no and then they'll ghost me. But I personally prefer how that works. So that was a long ramble, but that's why I prefer to do integrated segments rather than dedicated. Now, again, if I go full time on YouTube, that might change because I might need the money, which is fine. It's fine. But at the moment, it just works better for me. Anyway, sorry, I'll go back to some of these comments here. Usually for me, small to medium-sized creators are the only ones who make amazing vids in a sense where I want to actually check out the product they're showing. Interesting. What is it about small to medium channels that you think does that for you? Is it a lack of trust of big channels, or is it a unrelatability? Because I think that one's fair, right? Like, for example, Manny Hapoya has, when he's now come back to YouTube, but the style of videos he's making are very different, right? When he first started, he was talking about gear that was affordable. Now he's going in, he's interviewing people at Airy, which is really cool, right? He makes really cool little mini documentaries about stuff, and they're great. But I'm not buying Airy lenses, right? So in that sense, it's not relatable, but it is interesting. But I'd be intrigued to know where you're coming from. Like, what is it about small to medium-sized creators? Also, what does small to medium-sized mean? Is small to medium, does that mean 50,000? Does that mean 100,000 or less? Like, what is small to medium? Because depending on your niche and where you're looking at, it might just depend on what you mean by small to medium. John, yeah, integrations always go over so much better than dedicated videos. I agree. I've just found that brands don't want to do it. And I don't know why. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but brands are willing to just pay you more for a video that won't perform as well, which I think is crazy. personally. I'm like, hey, look, pay me less. Let me put 90 seconds of your product in there and it will get more views. I promise. But yeah, they don't seem to like doing that. So, but anyway, Night Owl, especially in this niche, most people watch our vids for reviews or education, and a full sponsored video just feels a bit too salesy for a viewer. Yeah, so a mid-vid integration usually works better. Yeah, I think that's fair. And I guess it depends. You know, if it's a product that you are like wholeheartedly just in on, like you just love it. Like there are products that I own that I use every single day that I would probably happily make a full dedicated video on, but it's because I love that product, right? For example, this light thing that I got here, this is just a cheap little $50 light on Amazon. I use it all the time. I absolutely love it. And I'd probably make a full video about it. You know, if Smallrig wanted me to. But this maybe brings up another question that I have for you guys. Okay, hypothetically, and again, all of these are hypotheticals. I haven't worked with any of the companies that I've talked about other than like FlexiSpot. But honestly, all of the sponsors that I've taken are not about camera gear. It's about other stuff. Anyway, if I did a sponsored video with Smallrig, right? Let's say I do a sponsored video with Smallrig next week. I'm not, but let's say I am. Do a full big sponsored video, and then next month I do another video and I mention a Smallrig product, but this video is not sponsored and I bought the product with my own money. Do I need to mention at that point that this video is not sponsored by Smallrig, but I have done work with them in the past? Because I've seen people doing that. I've never had the need to do that, thankfully. But that seems like a weird one. Because I would say, personally, I kind of don't feel like you need to do that. Because as someone who makes these videos, each video is very different, right? Like, there are Smallrig products that I've bought that I think are incredible. And there's Smallrig products that I've bought that have sat on a shelf. Each product's different. So if I say, yeah, I've got sponsored by Smallrig for this product, but I'm not talking about that product, but I'm talking about something else, does that still need disclosed? Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. This gets really messy about where all the lines are, what all the expectations are around what needs disclosed and when. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird one. Anyway, Jamal, I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name, but if it is, then great. What's the best camera for long form videos like web series? Depending on how long form you're talking, and if you're doing one long take, you're going to need something that doesn't overheat, basically. So you need something with a fan. Well, realistically, at that point, you're just going to look into a camera that is a dedicated cinema camera. The cameras that overheat are hybrids, right? Cameras that are designed for photo and they can do video. Those are the cameras that overheat. All of them do. Doesn't matter what brand. Everybody hates on them, but doesn't matter what brand. That's just the way that it works. If you want something that can do long form stuff and isn't going to cause any problems, you need like a dedicated cinema camera, which most brands tend to offer, or take steps to mitigate the overheating by adding a fan, using an external battery source, stuff like that. So like an FX30, FX3, those will work great. Canon, C70, C80, all of those will work really, really well. Even like an old C200 would work great for those sorts of things. Anything with a fan that can, that can cool itself so you can film for a long time will work. But it also depends on your environment. If you're filming indoors in a studio, any camera will run forever. I filmed an hour-long podcast on an S9, which everybody hated that camera for overheating, but in a controlled environment, it worked fine. If you're outdoors in 90, 100 degree Fahrenheit weather, yeah, that's gonna be harder. You need a cinema camera at that point. All right. Medium is more like 100K or less, but also I believe they're more genuine. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's such a. I mean, in a sense, I can see where you're coming from, and in a little bit of a sense, I kind of feel the same way. But I don't. and I mean this in the kindest way because I am in the same boat sometimes. I don't know if that's justified. Like, for example, one of the guys on YouTube that I just think is what just seems like one of the nicest guys is Tom Buck, right? Tom just seems nice. Just seems so genuine and chill. And to me, it doesn't matter what size his channel is. I don't even know what size his channel is. I'm assuming he's probably over 100K. But he, like, just because his channel if his channel grows, that doesn't make him unreliable. Ideally, right? Because, like, for me, I don't feel like I've changed at all from when I had 1,000 subs to now when I have 18, which isn't, I've only got 18. It's not a big channel. But I don't know. I think it depends on the person. Some people just seem reliable, and others maybe don't. But again, the ones to me who I would say don't seem reliable are the ones who usually go off on other people about not being reliable. I don't want to name any names or do anything, say anything to hurt any people's reputations. But there's a couple channels out there that are just dedicated to like hating on YouTubers and the YouTube filmmaking space. And they're YouTubers. I'm like, you got friendly fire on, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's okay. Like, but those channels to me seem less reliable because they're, I don't know. I don't want to get into that too much, but I don't know. People get a little dramatic, a little crazy, and most of the people that I've met in this space are just trying to do their thing. They're trying to make a living, but they're also just trying to talk about their products that they've got, or they've received, or they've purchased, and then they talk about that product in the best way that they can within their space, right? So, for example, a wedding videographer is going to be very critical of a 9mm lens, probably, because they're probably not ever going to use it. But if you're in real estate, you're going to want it, right? Same way a bird watcher is going to talk differently about a 400mm lens than somebody who does portraits. So reliability is like one of these weird ones where it's like, it depends on the person, depends on their niche, depends on what they use it for, and it depends on whether you relate to that person, right? So for me, like, most of what I talk about is YouTube type stuff, rigs, and the odd like wedding or sort of run and gun shoot, right? That I just get to do every so often. Or church stuff, right? Because I talk about like church stuff a lot because that's where I work. So I can talk about those areas. But if someone then says, hey, this video is unreliable and you're not trustworthy because what you said about this product is not valuable to me as a bird watcher. I've never taken photos of birds. So like I can't make the content that you need in that sense, which is fine. That's why there are other YouTube channels out there who cover that for me. I don't need to make that video because other people are out there doing it. For example, people ask me all the time about my color grading. I'm not a professional colorist at all. Everything I know about color grading is from Color Grading Central, another YouTube channel, who are awesome. So anytime that I'm asked about color grading, I'm like, just go watch their videos. That's what I did. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing what they told me to do, you know? So I'm not going to teach that stuff because that's not my strength. So I'm going to pass that on. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. It's getting late. I'm going to get going here soon, but that'd be my thought. But and Polar, I'm not saying that in any way negative against you because I totally understand that, and in some ways I feel the same way. For example, I automatically have a distrust of people who are just trying to monetize negativity on YouTube, but they might actually have a point sometimes. But I automatically don't trust them, and it's weird that we all kind of have our little stipulations of who we trust and who we don't. But it's probably something we all need to try and get past, you know? I don't think you have to. I think you're talking about the small rig thing. I don't think you have to, but I think a lot of creators mention their previous ongoing brand relationships just to be safe. I think that's fair. Just to be safe. Kofi said something similar. Regarding the small rig thing, I don't think you have to be honest. That became something new that wasn't an expectation that I didn't know was a thing. Yeah. Oh, sorry, it became something new that was an expectation that you didn't know was a thing. Yeah, it's a new one. I don't like. It's something I've just noticed recently, and it's something that I haven't like. I've never seen in the comments. I've never seen anybody in the comments say, "Oh, I don't trust you. You've done work with that brand before," but I've just seen some people say it more recently. So, but it's an interesting one of just like this automatic assumption of like, oh, you've worked in this with this brand before, therefore you're not trustworthy. It's kind of a weird mentality in a sense. But I guess it depends on the brand. It depends on the person. Like there was a brand I did a sponsor. I actually did do a sponsorship segment with them a while ago. And originally in their contract, they said, hey, as part of this deal, you're not allowed to work with any of our competitors for the next 18 months. And I was like, what are you talking about? No, I'm not going to do that, because who gets to decide who your competitors are? So I said, I didn't say it like that. I said, hey, I just want, part 7B removed. And they were like, okay, that's fine. So you can always negotiate these things. For any of the other people in here who are wondering about taking sponsorships, and like when somebody sends you a contract, you can refuse parts. You negotiate. If they send you through an 8-part thing and you're like, well, 3B looks weird, I don't like it, just ask them to remove it. They might not, at which point you can just back out, or they might explain it, and then you're fine. So it just depends. Jacob, what do you think about the Canon R8? I know nothing about the Canon R8. Is that APS-C? I think that's an APS-C one. Let me look it up. Canon R8. If it's the one I'm thinking of. It's not. It's full frame. Okay. Oh, this is their like cheap full frame. It's like the new RP, basically, right? Interesting. I'm all for people getting the highest quality image that they can get for the lowest amount of money. So I know nothing about the R8. I know nothing about Canon cameras. I've got a buddy, Niall, who lives over in Ireland. He films with Canon cameras. He's got an R6. So I'll reach out and ask him, and then I'll let you know. But the R8, I know very little about. I saw what's his name, Jared Poland. He did a couple of videos on it, so I'd check that one out. But honestly, dude, all cameras are good these days. It will have shortcomings. Every camera has shortcomings, especially budget ones. So I would just look into what the negatives are. Check out things like the battery life, the overheating. If it can film in log, that was one of the problems with the old RP, was there was no log, I think, which that would be a deal breaker for me personally. I love log. But yeah, just check to see what the negatives are. And if the negatives are not a big concern to you, then you'd be fine. And if you want to stay in Canon, like in the Canon ecosystem with the RF mount, yeah, it doesn't really matter what camera you get at that point. All cameras are pretty good these days. I was going to ask about the color grading too. Yeah, fair enough. This LUT that I use is actually one that I built based off of their instructions on how to build a teal and orange LUT, and I cannot replicate it. I have no idea what I did, but I like it, so I've kept it. So yeah, I check. If you want to know about color grading, check out Color Grading Central. They teach on basically all of the different NLEs. Doesn't matter if DaVinci, Final Cut, Premiere, they've got tutorials on all of them, which is really nice. 100% there's a lens brand that sent a contract that clearly whited out a part of their contract a lot of creators didn't like. Yeah, well, that's good to hear, in that they are at least listening, right, rather than just trying to repeat it. But some brands just ask for a lot. And again, it's weird, like, I'll not mention brands, but it's like 1 minute you do a video for them, like this brand that I'm about to talk about sent me a product that's worth $400 recently. That's a decent amount of money. That's a good product, and it's a great product, and I love it. And I didn't sign anything. I didn't do a single thing. And now they want to send me another product that's worth $300, and they want me to do 2 dedicated videos on it and sign a contract. And I'm like, what are we talking about? Why is this so different? But again, I haven't actually emailed it back. That was literally like last night. So they'll probably, again, you can negotiate. So those people, that company, I can probably email them back and say like, hey, I'll make one video, but I'm not going to sign a contract for something of that value, and hopefully send over, because I'm going to finish it tonight, but I'll send over this document once I've got it done of like, here are my stipulations around contracted agreements. If the unit is valued over $1,000, $1,500, we can talk about contracts. If not, then I'll, no contracts, stuff like that. So we'll see. But yeah, I think this evening, maybe not this evening, probably tomorrow, I'll finish up that document. And then here's one thing I would like to know from you guys. I'm going to have to go here in the next 10 minutes or so. If I have a document that says, here is my ethics around sponsorships, free gear, and stuff like that, and the other YouTubers can tell me this as well, is it something of value for my community for me to make that public and actually to have it available at all times for all my viewers to see? Right. That way I can then just direct them and say, okay, if you have questions about my ethics around sponsorships or anything like that, here's the document, here's what I send the brands, here are my rules. Or is that just being too much? Is that like, I don't need to do that? I don't mind either way. It's just something I'm thinking of toying around with, just because transparency and like honesty and being a trustworthy person seems to be becoming more and more valuable and more skeptical in this space. Which I think is interesting, because again, I think that out of all of the sort of niches that I watch on YouTube, I think the camera space has always been the one that is the most open about sponsorships and stuff like that. A lot of other niches will cover sponsorships for stuff that doesn't matter, and that just they'll rope in money here and there, and nobody cares. Nobody needs to care. But for some reason, it seems like in the camera space, we're just getting a little bit extra cautious. Now, I'm not saying caution's bad, but caution that is unwarranted can be bad, if that makes sense. Anyway, where am I? Sorry, back to Jacob here. Same sensor as the R6? Yeah, good sensor. Everything I've seen out of the R6 looks really good. Again, all depends on the price, depends what you can afford. If you can get one, go for it. The only thing I would say about Canon cameras is the lenses are expensive. So I know you're pretty young, so if you can afford those, go for it. But the lenses are far more important than your camera body, in my opinion, to an extent. But most of the time, the lenses are actually going to be more important. So make sure that you're getting good lenses. If all you can get is a kit lens, I'd get a cheaper camera and get some good lenses. That'd be my take. Like for example, the Fujifilm, this little XM5, I desperately wanted to like this, and I do, except I don't like the kit lens. And everybody said kit lenses are bad except Fuji's. Fuji make a great kit lens. I just don't like kit lenses. That's kind of my thing. So I ordered different lenses for this so that I can make sure that I really like it before I make a review. So lenses are the expensive part. Battery life is bad, but it films in log. Yeah, I mean, if you're not worried about the battery life, if you can just keep a bunch in your pocket, or plug it into like a battery bank in your pocket or something like that. If it takes USB-C charging, then that's great. Again, it just depends on if you can work around the problems that it has. That's the only thing. If I ever get sent a contract, I always search the word perpetuity. So many brands try to sneak in long-term use of your content. Yeah, I actually had that a while ago. I managed to catch that one really last minute, that they had like access to my footage. But another thing that I experienced recently was a brand sent me a product. It wasn't sponsored. And I made the video, and I was pretty happy with the product, and I was pretty happy with the filming that I did of the product as well. I thought the footage turned out really well, and also the brand were really happy with it, and they said, hey, can we use your footage? We'll buy it off you. And I said, yeah. And then I gave them a price, and they didn't message me back. So I thought I lowballed them, but they didn't email me back. So I guess it was too high. It was a relatively small brand, but I really wasn't charging a whole lot. But anyway, so that's another thing that can actually happen. I don't actually think I've ever seen somebody talk about that on YouTube, but sometimes brands will actually buy your footage after the fact. Um, but that's still not, it's not sponsored, but you technically got paid, but you got paid afterwards. So that's a whole other kind of worms. We don't even have time for that one. If people don't trust that, but that is the thing. Yeah, you can sell your footage to the brand after you're done, in theory, or they can ask for it, and then you can technically sell it to them. So I haven't actually had that happen yet. I wanted it to happen, but they said they didn't respond. So I was very sad. But anyway. Kofi said, it wouldn't hurt. To be honest, most people that resort to name calling and foolishness are going to kind of say the same thing. That's true. That's a good point. Like people who are all up in arms about, you're a shill, you're a this, that, or the other. It doesn't matter what you do. Yeah, they're just going to hate you anyway. But Kofi, this is not necessarily related, but you guys do great. I know that there's a couple of individuals out there who are after the, what do you guys call yourselves? Shill Team 6 or something like that. Who are after you and just seem to degrade anything you do, but you guys are doing a great job and we appreciate all the content that you all put out. So keep doing what you're doing, and it's been making the camera community better, and just ignore them. That seems to be the best approach. But yeah, you guys have gotten more attacks than that is warranted at all, from my understanding of everything that's been going on. So props to you for keeping going. Definitely expensive. Yeah. All camera gear is expensive. This is one of those things that just, it's tough. But the idea is when you buy camera gear and you sink money into it, you get to walk out the other side, hopefully making money with your camera. So keep working towards it. It is an investment, but get yourself a good lens, something you can use, go out and use it, and try to make a little bit of money here and there when you can. And all of a sudden you'll have the budget to go buy more lenses and sink yourself into the depths of some gas gear acquisition syndrome. It's a big problem. Is it common for brands to go through marketing agencies? Sometimes. So marketing agencies, I think I know what you're talking about. Basically where it's like an in-between man. I've seen that happen quite a lot. Now, the sponsorship that I talked about earlier, I don't know if you were here, Gabe, at this point. The sponsorship that I was talking about earlier that I ended up backing out of because they slashed my payment to like 1/3 at the last minute after we had already signed the contracts. That was actually through a mediator, or like a influencer brand that find YouTubers within that niche, and then they contact a brand and they will say, hey, here's a YouTuber in your niche that you should pay to make a sponsored video. They're good, right? It's like a little go-between. That company that I worked with, I wasn't contracted with them. I wasn't signed up with them. I wasn't exclusive with them. They just emailed me, right? And I've had other companies do similar things where they say, hey, we represent this company. So-and-so reached out to us. They want sponsors, or they want to do sponsorships. Would you do one for them? That happens relatively frequently. But usually they don't even say. You can just kind of tell, because it's like this person's email address is like this company and it's not the company that's emailing you. So it's kind of a weird thing, but it does happen. Yeah. But it's not, I don't think it's a bad thing. They're just, they're just helping both sides. And you don't have, like, most of the time, I don't know how it works with everything. From my experience, like, I've never paid anybody to do that. I'm assuming that they take a cut of what I would get paid. So they'll negotiate, let's say hypothetically, they negotiate with me to work with some random brand, right? That brand is going to pay me $750, but maybe they're actually paying $1,000 and the in-between brand take a cut. Again, this is all very hypothetical. I have no idea how it works, but I'm guessing that's kind of how their business model would work in theory. So I'm not getting sponsored by the marketing brand. I'm getting sponsored by the company, and the marketing brand have just been the one that have found me to do that work, usually. Depends which brand. The big ones most exclusively. Sorry, I can't remember what you were talking about. Sorry, I can't remember. I.e., oh, here we go. Sony doesn't work directly with creators. They go through an agency called Blue Pixel or Pixel Shift. Ah, okay. There you go. There's a good little bit of information for you. So I haven't heard from ones from like actual camera companies. There's a lot of them out there. Per Gear have done some stuff. Influencer Logic have done stuff. There's a lot. So yeah, I guess Sony use Blue Pixel or Pixel Shift. So I gotcha. Had a small brand contact me through an agency, and this would be my first partnership. Wanted to confirm if it sounded legit. Okay, so you just used the word partnership, which I'm guessing they used as well. This was my problem. The first time I came across the word partnership, they were very specific about the wording because it wasn't a sponsorship, but a partnership. Because whenever I came across the word partnership, I was only getting paid in commission. I wasn't actually getting paid up front. And I did that partnership, and I think I made $50 total. So just always be kind of cautious. If you can negotiate a flat price up front instead of any hopeful money, let's call it, I would go with the flat price personally. Because again, you just can't control it. But yeah, I hope it works out. Like if you're getting your first sponsorship and on your first partnership with a brand that you get to make some money on YouTube, that's always exciting. That's great. I hope it works out well. So yeah. Some that contacted me asked me to pay them, but I think the best ones just take a cut. Yeah, I've never had anybody ask me to pay them. I wouldn't pay anyone. I have people email me every other day who just like say, hey, we'd love to help out your brand. We want to help you out your SEO. And they word it like, they start the email, it's so funny. They start their email with like, we love your content. We think you do such a good job on YouTube. And then they say like, you need but your SEO sucks and we can help you. And then they just put these big circles around things. And I actually think my channel's doing pretty well for its size. But it's so funny when they're trying to sell themselves. And sometimes I email back and I'm like, hey, just a heads up. I find the best way to get a client is not to insult the work that they've done. Because sometimes they just go off. They're just like, yeah, this sucks. This is really bad. Your SEO is really bad. And you're just like, thanks. I'm fine. And they try to sell their services. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So, gotcha. Great advice. Thanks. You're welcome. I have one partnership, but I get paid monthly for taking content for that brand. Oh, that's an interesting one. I haven't heard of stuff like that. Like, I've heard of people having clients on retainer where they include them in their videos every month. I don't know if that's kind of what you're talking about, but that's a good deal. Yeah, if you can get someone to keep paying you on a regular basis, that's great. Yeah, I'd love to have something like that. I haven't, that was one thing I noticed whenever I was at NAB compared to other YouTubers. I have not put in the kind of work that some other YouTubers are out there grinding for to get sponsorships and brand deals and stuff like that. Like, I went to NAB to meet other YouTubers, and like some of the people I was hanging out with, they were like, oh, let's go talk to this brand because the marketing director's here and we might be able to work out having them on retainer. And I was like, I've never even thought of that. Like, until that point, I had never contacted a company. Like, I always waited for them to contact me. So like, if I wanted a cage for a camera, I would just buy it. And they were like, what are you doing? Just email them, they'll send it to you. And I was like, huh, never thought of that. So it's interesting. That was one of the best things about NAB is you learn some stuff. Now, some people go way too far. Some people are like just loot goblins, try to get all the gear. But anyway, sorry, ramble over. That's a cool one though. I'll need to look into that. I've never been able to get someone on retainer, but if I can, I certainly will, as long as it's a brand that I actually could stand behind. So congrats on getting that, Night. That's cool. All right. Any last little questions? I'm going to head on out here, and then I'm also going to keep working on this. My wife just messaged me saying dinner is ready, so I need to go home and get some dinners. I think we're watching a movie tonight, so I need to get going here. But I'm going to work on this here in a little bit. The expectations and stuff on the sponsors. So for you guys later, if any of you want to see this, I'll maybe have this linked somewhere on my channel, just so that you can kind of see, like, I think it'd be helpful. And I've chatted with a couple of other YouTubers about this as well, of stuff to put in here. But it does feel like YouTube is maybe getting to a space where openness and honesty are so heavily valued, but also, like Kofi said earlier, sometimes it just doesn't matter. Some people just hate you anyway. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But so if you ever have any questions, just check that, and hopefully I'll stick to it. We'll see, or I'll change it if anything changes. But I feel like keeping a balance of buying and gifted keeps you grounded in terms of reviews. That's true, yeah. And sometimes you just have to buy stuff, and it's also faster. Like, there was a video, one of the rig builds that I made a while ago. Like, there was a piece that I really wanted, and I actually messaged the company on Instagram and was like, hey, this piece looks really cool. Could I get one? And they didn't respond for like 3 days. And by the time that they'd responded, I just ordered it on eBay. It was like $100, so it wasn't a super expensive part. But so I ended up just ordering it and doing it anyway, because it takes time. And also all the companies are in China most of the time. So they'll email you at 4 a.m, and then you don't get to email them till the next day. And then it's like one email a day back and forth. So it can be really slow to try and work with companies, especially when you have to have a bit of back and forth. Some companies, it's like super easy. So like the last video that I put out about the cool camera gear under $50, which people seem to love. I'm glad people are enjoying that. I love finding little cool knickknacks for cameras under that sort of $50 price point, and people seem to really enjoy it, so I'm going to keep doing it. One company emailed me 4 days before that video came out and said, hey, we have this product. Would you like to try it? And I basically emailed back immediately and said, I have this series. I think it could work in. If you want to send it to me, it needs to get here. Or I said, if you want it in that video, it needs to be here in 2 days. And I was like, here's my shipping. And it showed up like 2 days later. And I was like, wow, that was fast. So anyway, if you watch that video, you'll know which one it is, because we're going to give one away next week. So they were really easy to work with. Anyway, Hassan, you're doing awesome. Well, thank you. Where you are right now is exactly where I was when things skyrocketed. Keep killing it. Thank you. I appreciate that, dude. The last 2 months have actually been the fastest growth this channel's had. It's been like 1,200 subs a month-ish. So that's just been it's been kind of crazy. So it's just been really nice. And it's just encouraging, you know. Like this song, everybody knows, and everybody who does YouTube knows what I mean when I say this. We do this for the views, but we also do it for the viewers. So whenever both of those things are going up, it's just nice, right? Like there's obviously the little narcissistic tendencies that you want your videos to do well and you want to get views. Of course, that is always going to be there. But whenever your viewers are clearly enjoying your content and you get more viewers, that's just great. So, but there's always going to be dips. Like 3 months ago, it was like one of the worst months I've ever had. Like nothing happened. But anyway, keep up the awesome content. Definitely huge inspiration. Gabe, I need to check out your channel. I'm guessing you have a channel. So let me go ahead and check that out and give you a follow. Because I need to do that. And if you ever are wondering about other camera gear stuff, you should hop in with the Friday afternoon group that do the Uncensored podcast. Hop in with them because you get to chat with so many other co-creators there. But yeah. I'm not sure if I'm finding your channel here. Is it Sosa Gabe on there? Let me know if I've got it right. Great. I'm loving that more of the camera creator space have been going live lately. Yeah, it's been fun. They've all been doing it. I don't have any, like the only anamorphic lenses that I have are like really zoomed in, and I couldn't set it up to work with this. So I need a Blazar hookup or something like that, or I just need to go buy one. It's probably what's going to happen. So don't stop posting. I'm not going to. I'm going to try and keep going at least one a week. That's usually my plan, but life's busy. So sometimes it's hard. You should make a video of Canon versus Sony. I don't own any Canons. I know. I've been really thinking about it. The only one that's tempted me is the what is it, the R50V. I love the form factor of that little camera. That looks awesome. Like that versus the Fujifilm XM5, that would be an interesting comparison to me. Because the ZV-E10 Mark II did not hit it for me, so personally. But like you did the stream on Saturday this time, I would have missed it yesterday. Well, maybe I'll just keep doing them on Saturdays. I did say that next week I would do mine on the 11th for the giveaway. So I'll do that. Do that next time. But Any plans on making a Discord server? Not sure if you've used it. I do use Discord. I've never had a server, and I don't know what that looks like or what that entails. So I'll maybe, was it you that left the comment on one of my recent videos? I think it was. You mentioned about starting a Discord server. I'll think about it. I have no idea how that works. There's a couple of, I'm in a Discord group with other YouTubers. Most of them are very techie. So I'll check with them, see if they think it's something that's worth doing. Or how to moderate it and do all that kind of stuff, because I don't want it to just be like a crazy, uncontrollable mass of people. Not that there would be that many people, but like I'd want it to be controlled in a sense. So, but we'll see. And Jacob said, yes, please. Very cool. Alrighty. Well, folks, it's been really fun. I appreciate you all being here. And we've had a lot of people here today altogether. There's been like, what was that, 141 people total? I appreciate all of you for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. So I'll hopefully see you all next Friday. I have a video coming out on Monday. And then next Friday we're doing our giveaway. So Friday at 5 next week. Come along and we'll do, I think we'll announce 2 giveaways. So one of you guys will get the giveaway of the battery charger thing that I talked about. And then we'll also do the giveaway of the desk. So I'll announce who won that one next week. But anyway, it's been fun. I hope to chat to you all soon. Have a great day. See ya.